You are looking live at Kyiv. It is early Saturday morning there. All day, Ukrainians have faced an impossible decision: stay and brace for attack or try to make it out. Here's a look at some of what's unfolded during the last 12 hours.
These men bear the greatest responsibility for the death and destruction occurring in Ukraine.
You let him away with this, he makes his next move and his next move, and that can't happen.
We stand with Ukraine. We want Ukraine to be free. We don't want bullying.
We don't want to work with peaceful people.
By car, by foot, people racing to escape the violence, taking with them whatever they could carry. In the embattled country, it's not clear how many areas still remain under Ukrainian control and what has been seized by Russian forces. Reports of casualties now number in the hundreds. Meantime, hundreds of thousands of people are already on the move in Ukraine. The UN's refugee agency warns as many as 4 million people could try to flee the country for safety if the situation escalates. Well, there is a lot to cover tonight, but we begin on the ground in the capital. That's where the CBC's Margaret Evans is reporting for us. She brings us the very latest.
In a late-night tweet, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned his people that he expects Russian troops to storm Kyiv tonight. An air raid siren to start the day in the Ukrainian capital. But aside from it and the sound of the occasional artillery shell, the streets of Kyiv were wrapped in silence. The surest sign yet that Russian forces are closing in on the city. The streets here are more quiet than we've actually seen them over the past 2 weeks. So quiet you could almost hear a pin drop. When you do see people out on the streets or a car going by, they're usually trying to leave town. Video on social media showed Russian tanks a mere 10 kilometers from the presidential office. One showed a tank driving over a car. People trying to pry the driver out afterwards, amazingly still alive. This apartment building was apparently hit by a Russian missile strike in a Kyiv neighborhood. A determined Ukrainian defense has slowed the Russian advance somewhat. This is the eastern city of Kharkiv. But the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky clearly expects the Kremlin to try and remove him. He posted a video flanked by his top officials, the message clear: he's still here. The Prime Minister is here, he says, the spokesman is here, the President is here. That's how it will be. Glory to Ukraine. The government is offering arms to anyone who wants to help the army fight. And Ukraine's soldiers are given a hero's welcome wherever they go. But many people are still trying to leave the city nonetheless. There were chaotic scenes at the train station. Police firing into the air to stop people from swarming the train. More indignity for an independent nation suffering the indignity of invasion. Olga Saviak and her children gave up on the trains. We met her trying to come up with an alternative plan.
I have friends who can meet me in not far from Kyiv, and I try to get taxi there, but not successful. No one's answering. No one, yes.
So what will you do?
I have no idea.
She's not alone. Many people are clearly stunned at the haste with which they find themselves fleeing a city that just a few days ago was a place of safety. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Kyiv.
Tough new measures against Russia to tell you about as Canada expands its sanctions tonight, all part of a coordinated international effort aimed squarely at the Russian president, his top aides and allies. Ashley Burke with that part of the story.
Canada and its allies have been issuing sanctions against Russia for days that have been escalating. Now a third coordinated round. The Prime Minister announcing that President Vladimir Putin will personally face financial sanctions.
We're demonstrating that Putin's own personal wealth and his wealth that is being cared for by others is at significant risk because of his terrible mistake.
The Prime Minister said Putin doesn't have much, if any, financial holdings here in Canada, but argues this move shows unity with other countries and prevents Putin from any loopholes that could allow him to try and move money to other areas of the world. Justin Trudeau also said he wants Europe to disconnect Russia from SWIFT, the main system for global financial transactions.
He cannot expect to overturn and end 75 years of peace with a violent and unprovoked attack on an innocent neighbor, and still expect to be able to benefit from the financial systems and economic opportunities that that very peace has created.
Along with those financial penalties, including new sanctions on Belarus and its leaders, a new offer for humanitarian relief. The government says it will match donations to the Canadian Red Cross to help Ukraine up to $10 million. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
And the head of NATO says the alliance will continue to send weapons to Ukraine, including air defense systems, but a military intervention remains off the table.
We have a defensive presence in the east. We are increasing our presence, not to provoke a conflict, but to prevent the conflict.
Today, the U.S. and the EU announcing they'll freeze the assets of Russian leader Vladimir Putin, a move seen as an escalation of sanctions already in place. Well, closer to home, this has been incredibly painful for Ukrainian Canadians glued to their televisions, desperate for messages or phone calls from family. Dale Manukduk is tracking that, plus the efforts underway to support those still there and those seeking refuge.
My mother sent to your health and be happy and be safe.
20 kilometers outside Kyiv, a war zone, Oksana Nagorna's parents are wishing Canadians safety. They're staying put, so is her brother and sister-in-law, who's also her best friend. She asks why on our behalf.
They want to live in Ukraine because it's our home.
What they want most right now is for NATO to enforce a no-fly zone over Ukraine to protect from Russian airstrikes. Ukrainian-Canadian Congress President Alexandra Hitchie says the humanitarian need will be astronomical.
The intention was to isolate Ukraine, destroy its supply chain, and so now the only option is to truck the aid in from Poland.
The UCC and Canada-Ukraine Foundation have already raised over $2 million. That money will be used for people seeking refuge elsewhere and staying in Ukraine. Food, medicine, and shelter are the priority. Based out of Toronto, Global Medic has experience providing aid in Ukraine and is ready to go back again.
For us to operate inside, it's going to be very complex, very fluid, and the days to come will determine just how much we can operate inside.
But the need for people staying and going are different. St. Javelin, which launched days ago hoping to sell a few dozen stickers to help fundraise, has taken off. What started off as a one-man show is now a team of 20. They're trying to help people leave the country.
It's terrifying for people, right? So finding people who are brave enough to, not brave enough, but are willing, are able, have cars to be able to drive out of the city and find, safety somewhere else. It's a difficult thing.
Boris and Hitchie warn the entire structure of Europe could change.
We don't yet know the full scope. I know that the United Nations and their health cluster have been doing some projections, possibly as high as 5 million refugees.
And for the second time this week, a rally was held outside the Ukrainian consulate.
We stand with Ukraine. We want Ukraine to be free. We don't want bullying. We don't want looting.
I'm here to support them and let the whole world know we don't want to work with peaceful people. Please stop this now.
The support will continue this weekend with a mega march on Sunday starting at Yonge Dundas Square. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
Toronto waking up to yet another blast of winter. About 5 centimeters of snow made for a messy commute this morning. Plus, it's cold, too. The city declaring an extreme cold weather alert, at least until tomorrow. 4 warming centers are currently open for those who need a warm place to go. Let's bring in Nick Sirkovich with our first look at the forecast. Hey, Nick.
Hi there, Shannon. Well, of course, the snowfall, the story this morning, the cold temperatures. the story as we head through the overnight period tonight. Seeing about 5 to 10 centimeters of snow this morning, certainly slicking up the roads. That cleared out into the afternoon, and then we had mainly clear skies, and that is helping to drop our temperatures through the overnight. This afternoon, highs to -6 degrees. That's about as good as it got with the wind chills, though. Felt like -12, -13 as we move through tonight, even colder than that. Generally clear skies, or at least partly cloudy skies for the overnight. Increasing cloud cover, though, as we head through tomorrow morning and into the afternoon. Generally cloudy tomorrow. Slight chance we'll see a few flurries, but generally it's just cloud cover in the forecast, and temperatures still on the cold side. Here's a look at the forecast for the next 24. -13 degrees through tonight, wind chills to -17. Gets a little breezier, though, into tomorrow afternoon. So a high of -2 feels like -8. And there is some more cold weather in the long-range forecast. That's coming up in just a bit.
Thanks, Nick. Blindsided. That's how some people living in Toronto community housing are feeling tonight. They say the CRA is demanding they pay back benefits they've received for years. Farah Morelli takes a closer look at this story for us.
To say it hurts, that's too little. This is just, it's wrong.
And James responding to this CRA letter, telling the 82-year-old not only is she ineligible for the monthly Trillium benefit she's received for years, but she also owes them more than $500.
Losing the Trillium, if that is what the end result is, whether it's $50 or $130, it's a big hit. It's a week's groceries.
She's not alone. Many neighbors in this East York TCH building have been receiving similar letters.
Some of the tenants here are getting sick over this. They don't know what's happening today, tomorrow. What else is the government going to do?
So what happened? Way back in 2011, the city exempted 53,000 of TCHC's 60,000 units from property taxes. That meant tenants in those units lost eligibility to receive part of the Trillium benefit. But some filing their taxes continued to claim it unknowingly and are now being asked to repay it. TCHC says it only learned the letters recently, and it's doing everything now to make that exemption clear.
We absolutely see areas where we could have done things differently. Right now, what we're trying to do is look forward, advocate for our tenants.
On average, the amount that they would be owing is around $950, which consists of about 3% of their annual income.
The letters even came as a surprise to those who help low-income residences with finances. Steve Vander Herberg says he's heard from staff at 10 buildings getting the letters.
So residents are and have been feeling a real challenge around just increases in inflation, the price of groceries, and this just adds to the challenge.
At the Jane Finch Centre, they say many tenants from some of the lowest income addresses are getting the notices. In a statement, the CRA didn't respond directly to questions about why it's enforcing these payments now, but said it can work with individuals on a case-by-case basis.
We're not taking advantage of any system or anything like that. We just want a fair shake.
Seniors here say they did nothing wrong and want their debts erased. Farah Morelli, CBC News, Toronto.
The City of Toronto is on a hiring spree with 6,000 jobs available this summer. That high number is thanks to a full roster of programming with Parks and Recreation.
I think it represents another sign that we are moving forward. This means that many different kinds of jobs are open for application, and that includes lifeguards, swimming instructors, camp counselors, fitness instructors, performing arts instructors, and hip-hop and line dance teachers.
The city also has jobs available for seasonal gardeners and park workers. Applications are being accepted until early April. Hudson's Bay announcing it's closing the doors for good at its Bay and Bloor location. The reason, it says, is due to the close proximity to the flagship store at Eaton Centre. In 2020, the country's oldest retailer said it was months behind in rent than last year. More than 600 workers across Canada were laid off. The historic downtown location will officially close at the end of May. Welcome back. Ontario joining the world in condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Tonight, the province directing the LCBO to pull all Russian vodka from its shelves. As Lorenda Redekop shows us, the province is also pledging to bring as many Ukrainians here as possible.
We will do whatever it takes to make sure that we get as many people here as possible.
The Ontario government wants the feds to expedite the process for Ukrainian refugees. It's hearing from companies ready to hire thousands of people in the trades and construction.
One union has stepped up, and I love these guys, Leona. They said, we'll take 20,000. There's endless people that are texting me saying, we need people, we'll take them.
The Minister of Labour says he's talking to the federal government, suggesting a special stream, a fast track for Ukrainian arrivals.
Already today, we've had dozens of employers reaching out to help these people.
One challenge, though, Ukraine's president isn't allowing men up to 60 to leave the country, to instead stay and fight. Settlement agencies now waiting for the surge have worked with Afghan and Syrian refugees recently. They say with this community, there's one advantage.
It's a lot easier when you have a community that is already integrated into Canadian life and who have access to employers, jobs, who have resources, to make time available.
He has some Ukrainian-speaking staff, but expects to be hiring more in the months ahead. The Premier plans to underline the importance of sanctions when he speaks to the federal government, including refusing Russian oil and cutting off financial transactions.
You let him away with this, he makes his next move, and his next move, and that can't happen. We have to stop him in his tracks. Zero tolerance with this guy.
In a symbolic gesture of solidarity with Ukraine, the Ontario government is directing the LCBO to pull Russian vodka from its shelves, something the Liberal Party suggested in a news release this morning. The Premier said he was already on it.
To be honest, it wasn't the Liberals. We were discussing this yesterday with the Finance Minister.
Late this afternoon, the LCBO confirmed all Russian products are being pulled from stores and online. Loretta Redicomp, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, here's a live look for you tonight from downtown Toronto. After all that snow this morning, it may be hard to believe we are just 23 days now away from spring. It is chilly out there. Right now it's -8, feeling more like -14 with the wind chill. Well, let's go back to Nick now with a look at what's in store this weekend. Hey, Nick.
Well, Shannon, shifting our focus to the cold weather as we move through tonight, and then some snowfall in the long-range forecast. There's a look at your weather headlines. Frosty nights ahead, a windy weekend as well, so the sort of cool temperatures are going to feel even colder. It's because of the wind chills, and then a little bit of snowfall in the long-range forecast. We'll get to that coming up in just a bit. Forecast-wise for tonight, though, it looks like this. Partly cloudy skies, increasing cloud cover tomorrow. I think we'll see a few hints of sunshine, but not much. Cloud cover moving across the region. So a few flurries in the area, but generally just cloudy. And then into Saturday night and Sunday, we've got another system pushing through. Sunday, a few flurries as this front sweeps through. That's going to bring with it some colder temperatures in behind it. And looks like about maybe trace to 1 or 2 centimeters of snow in the area. For the GTA, we're not even showing anything. I don't think we're going to see anything accumulating there, though could slick up the roads a bit. But north of the city, trace to 2 centimeters of snow, certainly possible. The winds, though, bit of a factor as we move through the next couple of days there. Wind gusts up to about 40-50 kilometers per hour for tomorrow. Same story into Sunday as well. So a breezy weekend in store. Sunday might actually be even windier, and that's going to help to drop the wind chills for us through the next couple of days. Forecast tonight in southwestern Ontario, temperatures anywhere from about -11 to -14, wind chills as low as -20. And then for the Golden Horseshoe, we're looking at temperatures round about the same, -13, -14, wind chills of -17, and partly cloudy skies across the area. Forecast for the next 5 looks like this. Wind chills of -8, -9. That's about as good as it gets. Morning wind chills will be closer to -15 to -20 for the next couple of days. Highs around seasonal. Cold temperatures through Sunday night. And again, Sunday, about trace to 1 centimeter of snow. Sunny Monday, but as we head through mid next week, looks like another system is going to move through. That could bring 2 to 5 centimeters of snow. Shannon.
Thanks, Nick. Finally, tonight, a Toronto-produced movie is now playing in select Canadian theaters and opens at the TIFF Bell Lightbox. Scarborough is a film based on the award-winning novel by the same name. It tells the story of 3 low-income families struggling to endure within a system that set them up to fail.
We knew from the very beginning to ground ourselves in the things that resonated with us individually, but also we knew that we would have to assemble a team of people with like a wide array of lived experience, but also professional experience.
The movie, that's already getting critical acclaim, has racked up 11 nominations for the Canadian Screen Awards, including Best Motion Picture and Adapted Screenplay. That's our show for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back here with you tomorrow at 6. We'll see you then.